Hello everyone, this is Naveen Joshi, and in this lecture we'll be covering up chapter 2 of social studies for grade 10 under the Telangana board. The name of the chapter is Ideas of Development. So let's get started, everyone. Before we begin the chapter, let us first try to understand what are the topics that we will be covering up in the chapter. We'll begin with a small introduction, and after that, we'll try to understand what are the things that the development promises and how the development differs from person to person. And then later, we'll be talking about incomes and the other goals, and how do we make a comparison between different countries or states, and what are the criteria for measuring the development along with incomes, and what are public facilities, who provides the public facilities, and what is the need for the government to provide the public facilities. We'll try to understand that a little bit, and then we will try to understand a report that is human development report. So this is the report that tracks the development of countries, and what are the various indicators that are included in it. So everything will be covered in detail. No worries, as we go deep into the topic, we will try to understand everything from the textbook line to line. Everything is prepared here, so don't worry if you have not understood the content, because anyhow I'm going into detail point to point from the textbook. Okay, then we'll be talking about the development as progress over time, wherein we will take a case study of a state, that is Himachal Pradesh. We will try to understand how education revolution, that is schooling revolution, happened in the state of Himachal Pradesh. And then finally we'll be summing up the chapter, and these are the contents of the chapter number 2. So let us begin with the introduction part. So let's start with the introduction part. We all have many aspirations about what we would like to do and how we would like to live our lives. As human beings, we all have aspirations, we all have goals, etc. We have needs, we have goals, we have desires. We all have different goals, aims, and aspirations. We have aspirations about what we want to achieve in life. We have goals about what we want for ourselves, what we want for our families, etc. Similarly, we also have ideas. Similarly, we also have ideas about what our country should be like. Just the way we have goals for ourselves, we also have certain ideas about how our country should be like. Generally, we think about our country in the following aspects, like our country should be free from corruption, our country should think about the development of the common man, etc. In just the way we have goals and aspirations for ourselves, we also have ideas about how our country should be. So what are the essential things that we require? So these are the certain questions that we need to think about when we talk about development. What are the things that the country requires? Can life be better for all, right? So can there be more equality? So these are certain things that immediately come to our mind when we talk about the development of a country, right? A country cannot be developed unless there are certain things like equality, like better life for everyone, education, literacy, etc. So these are all the essential things that we require. So development involves thinking about these questions. So when we talk about development, we need to ask these questions, like we can call a country as a developed country when it has fulfilled certain aims and objectives of the people, right? So it also thinks about the ways in which we can work towards achieving things. So development is not just about asking these questions, but it is also a step moving closer to achieving the goals and aspirations of the citizens of the country. So this is a complex task. Why this is called as a complex task? As we go deep into the chapter, you will understand, because the development may mean different things to different people. Like for example, let's say my idea of development can be different from that of the idea of other person. It differs from person to person. Like for example, let us say the developmental goal of a teacher can be different from the developmental goal of a student, or let's say the developmental goal of a farmer can be different from that of a developmental goal of a businessman. So development may mean different things to different people. So the dimension, the meaning of development differs from person to person. And when the country is thinking about development, it has to include the developmental aspects of each and every section of the society. It has to include each and every person. So that is where it is a very challenging and complex task. We will take some more examples to understand why this is a complex task. Okay. Let us go to the next topic, that is what development promises different people and different goals. As I already told you that the development differs from person to person, so it changes, the definition of development changes from person to person. So let us try to understand that by going through the table that is given in your textbook. Developmental goals of different categories of people. So here in the first column you see the category of persons, and in the second column you see the developmental goals. Two goals are already given in the textbook. Let us try to find out the developmental goals of the remaining people. So let us start with the first one, that is landless rural laborer. So who is a landless rural laborer? Landless rural laborer is the one who lives in village and he has no land. Okay, so what could be his developmental goal? His developmental goal could be he might require more days of work, because as we all know that a farmer does not have work 365 days. There is a season for farming, so he will be getting work only during those days. So a laborer, a rural laborer who does not have a land of his own, what could be his developmental goal? His developmental goal could be that he requires a regular work and he requires better wages. Okay, so he requires more days of work and he requires better wages, and local school that is able to provide quality education for their children. So that could be the basic goal that any landless laborer, because as a parent he would think about educating his child, because after getting educated there are possibilities that he might get a good job. So that could be a basic goal of any landless laborer. And the other thing that he would think for is there should be no social discrimination. What is social discrimination? Discrimination is treating people differently because of their caste, right? So this is very common in rural villages. So this is another aspiration that a landless rural laborer might have: no social discrimination, and they too can become leaders in the village. And in case if they want to become a leader, or if they want to stand in elections, they could easily stand without any discrimination. So these are generally goals and aspirations of the people, especially in the rural areas who don't have a land of their own and they're working as laborers. Now moving on to the second category of person, that is prosperous farmers. Who are prosperous farmers? Prosperous farmers are rich farmers. They have lands, they have huge properties, they are rich, they are having lots of properties, and so that is why their developmental goals are different from the landless laborers. So let us see what is given here: assured high family income through higher support prices for their crops. Now this is the basic requirement of a prosperous farmer. He expects that he should have a regular income, he should have a higher income, he should get good support prices for his crops, and he wants hardworking and cheap labor. And he wants the laborers, but those laborers should be hardworking, and he is able to give them cheap labor. So this could be a general goal or aspiration of a prosperous farmer. Now, moving on to the third category of person, that is farmers who depend only on rain for growing crops. So basically, any farmer who doesn't have irrigation facilities, who doesn't have water, what could be his basic developmental goal? He would expect the first thing to be is he needs irrigation facilities in case if there are lack of rains. So the first thing that he requires is irrigation for his crops. Okay, because if he gets water facility, then he can do something, he can grow crops and he can sell his crops. So basic thing that he would require is irrigation, and apart from that he also aspires to have good education for their kids. Okay, so these are some of the common goals that a farmer um, generally who is dependent on rain would aspire for. Now, moving on to the next category of person, that is a rural woman from a land owning family. That means a woman who is coming from a village, who has a land. What could she expect? She could expect that she could grow good crops in her land and she could get better prices for her crops. So that could be the developmental goal. Okay, better prices, and she also might expect good education for their kids, higher income, etc. Okay, so moving on to the next category of person, that is urban unemployed youth. Okay, what do you mean by unemployed youth? Unemployed youth are the youth that they do not have proper jobs. So what could they think for? They could only think for better job opportunities, better job opportunities, especially in the government sector. So better job opportunities, and in case if they are not getting jobs also, what would they expect? They expect that the government provides some kind of fund during their period of unemployment. So these are certain goals that an unemployed youth who is living in the urban area would aspire for. Now, if you look at the five categories of people, you will understand that the developmental goals are different, right? They are not same for everyone. It differs from person to person. So let us go to the remaining categories of persons. So here is the continuation of the same table. The next category of person is boy from a rich urban family. So what do you think could be the developmental goal? The developmental goal of a boy from a rich urban family would be freedom, freedom to decide what he wants to do in his life, freedom to decide what he wants to do in his life, and the freedom to choose his stream of education, and maybe he could want to settle in the foreign country, settling in foreign country, higher studies, etc. So these are some of the developmental goals for a boy coming from a rich urban family, children. Okay, so now moving on to the next category of person. The next category of person is a girl from a rich urban family. What does she aim for? She aims for getting much freedom as her brother. She doesn't want to get discriminated from her brother, and she be given the same freedom as is given to her brother, and freedom should be given to her to decide what she wants to do in her life. And she would also like to be able to pursue her studies in the reputed private education institution. In the same way, maybe she might also have aspirations of settling in the foreign country. Okay, settling in the foreign country. So what I am just writing here, not necessary that everyone has it. It's a general perception. Okay, and moving on to the next category of person, that is Adivasi from mining field. What do the Adivasis aim at? They aim certain things. I think they want more freedom to use their own resources the way they want to use. For Adivasis, they consider uh, the nature as uh, God, and they do not like the interference of anyone, and They want rights over the forests in which they have been living for ages. They don't want their lands to be encroached. They don't want others to interfere in their lives. So these are some of the developmental goals uh, of Adivasi. And Adivasis from mining fields. What are mining fields? Mining fields are those where the government tries to mine, right? So generally, if you think, would Adivasis be happy if the government is entering into the territories and asking them to vacate the lands just because they have found out so many mineral resources in it? No, they would not, because Adivasis have been living in that region for so long, so they would not be happy vacating the places. So what would be their developmental goal? Their developmental goals would be that they want non-interference in their daily life. They do not like the government to interrupt in their daily life, and they do not like the government to encroach their areas where they have been living for so long. So that could be the developmental goal of Adivasi. And the next category of person is a person from the fishing community in the coast area. What could be their developmental goal? Their developmental goal would be more fish catch. They would like to have more fish catch. They would like to have more fishing facilities so that they can catch more fishes, and they would also like to get more subsidies from the government. And apart from that, they would also like better education for their children. So these are some of the developmental goals of the different categories of people. The purpose of letting you through this table is to make you understand that development differs from person to person. So here the development differs from person to person. Okay, it is not same for everyone. It differs from person to person. What might be considered as development for one person might not be considered as development for another person, to another person, children. So let us go to the next topic now. Now that we have seen the table, let us try to examine the table that we have covered in the previous slide. Having filled table 1, let us now examine it. Do all these persons have the same notion? So the notion is idea. Do all the persons have the same idea of development progress? Most likely not, because we have seen that each individual's idea of development is different. Okay, each one of them seeks different things. Yes, each one of them seeks different things. As let's say, for example, Adivasis, they want more freedom. They do not want anyone to encroach in their fields. In the same way, we have seen a farmer who wants good crop price. We have seen an unemployed youth who wants a job in the government sector. So they all seek different things, and they seek things that are more important for them. They are all thinking about those things that are very important for them, because it will help them fulfill their aspirations. It will help them fulfill their desires. In fact, at times, two persons or group of persons may seek things which are conflicting. Very, very important point, children. Please, I want all of you to make a note of this point. There will be times where two people or two group of people may seek different things. What might be development for one person might not be development for another person. So in that aspect, there will be a conflict in the fulfillment of that goal. Like, for example, let us say a girl expects as much freedom and opportunity that is given to her brother, and that he also shares the responsibility in the household work, but her brother may not like this. So generally, if we talk about a girl and a boy, what does a girl in the family expect? She expects that she be given the same level of freedom that is given to her brother. She expects that the same opportunities are given that are given to her brother, and she also expects that her brother shares the same works and responsibilities that she does in the household work. But do you think that the boy would be ready to take up the responsibilities in the household work? Most probably not. So here we have tried to take this example to understand that the developmental goals might be different, and due to which there would be a conflict between two categories of people or two groups of people. Similarly, to get more electricity, the government can plan construction of new dams. Now we have seen so many times that the government is coming up with new projects, but the people of that area might right away reject the government's proposal. Okay, so here the example is taken of construction of a new dam. Generally we see, if in order to construct a new dam, the government might ask the residents of that locality to vacate the place, but it would not be acceptable for those people who have been living in that region for so long. But here the government's intentions are to get more electricity. In order to get more electricity, the government needs to construct a dam, and in order to construct a dam, the government has to vacate the people who are living in that area. Here the government's objectives are different, and the people might not be accepting that proposal. So here, but this may submerge the land and disrupt the lives of the people just in order to fulfill electricity. Here the government is focusing on generating more electricity. This is about people only. In order to provide more and more electricity for the people, to the people, the government needs to construct a dam. Now if the government is constructing the dam, it needs to vacate a lot of people who have been living in that region. So this causes a lot of disturbance. It disrupts the lives of the people, and they get displaced. Okay, especially the tribals and the farmers who have been living in that particular region, they will have to compromise on it, because the government thinks about providing electricity. Now here providing electricity is also for the people only. So here what we can understand is, in order to fulfill the demands of certain people, the government, there will be situations where the government might uh, disrupt the lives of the other peoples. So this situation can lead to conflict. So just now I told you that due to difference in the developmental goal, there would often be a situation of conflict, because what might mean development for one category of person might not be the same for the other category of person, and thereby this leads to conflict, children. So this is an overview of the examination of the table that we have covered previously. Okay, so let us move to the next topic now. The next topic in the chapter is whose development. If even the idea of what constitutes a development can be varied and conflicting, then certainly there can be many differences about ways in which development happens. The ongoing protest over Kudankulam nuclear power project in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu is one such conflict. Now, people generally have different opinions about what development means. It is not a straightforward concept, and it can vary from person to person, from individuals to individuals. Some people might think development means economic growth, while others might think of it from the social well-being or environmental perspective. And in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu, there is an ongoing protest relating to the Kudankulam nuclear power project. People there are unhappy about the construction of this project. They have faced police action and legal troubles due to the protests going on in that particular place. The Kudankulam nuclear power project happens to be the largest power project in the entire country. Its construction began in the year 2002, but it faced a lot of delays because of the protest done by the people. The people of that locality doesn't want the nuclear power project to start. The government of India set up the nuclear power plant in this quiet coastal town of the fisher folk. The aim is to generate nuclear power project. So here, what is the intention of the government? The government wants to generate nuclear power. So this nuclear power could be used to meet the growing energy needs of the country. Like we know that after industrialization there was a lot of industries growing up in the country, and there is so much of need for energy, and the government thought that there is a need for more and more energy sources, and with that objective the government has set up the nuclear power plant in this coastal town of Tirunelveli district. The people in the region have protested. Now that is what we have to understand, that the government's intention is to increase the energy sources, but the people in that locality have protested against the power project. What could be the reason? The reasons are safety. The people of that locality believe that nuclear energy is not safe. They are worried about the safety, and they thought that it is not secured. And it will also impact the livelihood of the people, because if any power project is started by the government, the people have to dislocate to a new place, affecting their livelihood, affecting the security of jobs, etc. And the people of that locality also felt that it is not safe, because they have the fear of nuclear reaction happening. And that is the reason why people of that locality had protested against this power project. A long struggle ensued. Scientists, environmentalists, and social activists who have been critical of this project have stood by the people, supported their protest. So, since it was affecting the livelihood, it was affecting the people's security, safety, etc. Not only the local people, not only the fisher folks who were living in the coastal town objected to this power project of the government, but along with them, certain scientists, certain environmentalists, and social activists also opposed the project. They were opposing the government. They were demanding the government not to start this power project, because it might affect the livelihood, it might affect the safety and security of the people living in this coastal town. However, letters of the protest to the government were written. So many letters were written to the government. It was stating, you are unable or willing to appreciate that in nuclear energy, we are confronted not only with immense power, but also incredible power of destruction. So many letters were written to the government, addressing that the government is just thinking about the power project. The government is just thinking about immense power. It was only thinking about the industrial aspect, because industries need a lot of power. So it was many people wrote to the government stating that the government is thinking more about benefiting the industries, benefiting the energy resources, but it is not understanding the potential threat. It is not understanding that the project might also cause destruction to the people. So that was the main fear of the people. So they expressed this fear by writing letters of protest to the government. Now, we want our coast and country protected from the radioactive peril. So this is what is their concern. They believe that nuclear energy might be reactive. It might people might get affected due to the radiations that might release because of this nuclear power project. So they were worried that their lands on which they were living for centuries might be affected due to the radioactive peril. So they requested the government to stop the project, look to the renewable sources of energy as an alternative. So what were they requesting? They were requesting the government to focus on the alternative sources of energy rather than setting up nuclear power project in a place where they have been living for centuries. They asked the government by writing letters. They requested the government to stop the project and focus on the alternative sources of energy. The government has responded that the plant has followed all the safety measures, but the government responded to the people saying that there is nothing to worry. The government is following all the safety protocols. It is trying to convince the people that there is no danger involved in it, because the government, the power project is actually following all the safety measures, and despite its protest, is going ahead with the project. So here, in spite of lot of protest, not only by the people, not only by the scientists and environmentalists, the government has decided to go with the project, because it thought that it is very essential for the government to focus on the energy requirements. So in spite of many letters from the people, the government has decided to go with the project, and it tried to convince the people that the government is taking a lot of safety measures. It tried to convince the people saying that there is nothing to worry, and it even stated that nuclear energy is considered as clean source of energy, and alternative sources of energy may not be sufficient to meet the demands. So here, what is the government trying to convey to the people? The government is trying to convey to the people saying that it is alternative sources of energy might be developed uh, in the country, but that might not be sufficient for the growing needs of the people. So that is where the government believes that nuclear energy is the clean source of energy, and the government is taking the safety precautions, and it tried to convince everyone saying that nuclear energy is the clean energy, and there is no need for the people to worry about the project. And finally, the government went ahead and started the nuclear power project in this Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu. Very important topic from the examination point of view. Many a times MCQs were asked generally, like where is this Kudankulam nuclear power project, what is this project about, etc., from the MCQs. So just focus on this topic more. So at the end, what one must understand is the development at the larger perspective. It is not about the development. It is not, when we talk about development, it is not just about few people. It is not just about one people, two people, or a group of people. When we talk about development, it should include many people in the ambit. So that is what is the question here when we talk about development. Whose development? So now let us move to the next topic, children. So two things are quite clear from the previous case study, that different people can have different developmental goals, and developmental goals are not same for everyone. What might be development for one person might not be the development for the other. It might be uh, destructive, or it might be destructive for the other. Like as we have seen in the previous case study in the Kudankulam power project, the developmental goal for the government was to provide for the energy, and whereas the people of that region believe that it can create destruction due to the radioactive perils. So it might not be same for everyone. It differs from person to person. So here in the textbook, there are a few questions that you need to solve on your part. So let us see these questions, and I want all of you to answer the questions in the comment box. I will create the answers in a separate PDF, and I'll be uploading that at the end of this video. In the meantime, you can just type in your comments for the answers for the questions given here. Okay, so the first question is, what can be some of the developmental goals for your village or town or your locality? Just look at your village, town, or locality, and just understand what could be the developmental goal for your village, and it differs from individual to individual. And the second one is, what are the issues of conflict between the government and the people living in the regions of the nuclear power plant? As you can see, the issues of conflict between the government and the people that are living in the regions of nuclear power plant is that people are not happy. People do not want the government to disrupt the lives of the people, because when a nuclear power project is established by the government, it might require the people to vacate the place, it might dislocate the people. So these are some of the issues of conflict that might arise between the government and the people who are living in the regions of nuclear power plant. And the third question is, do you know of any such controversy around development projects or policies? Find out the views on either side. How do we find a solution? How do we find solutions that are fair? So you just have to write in your viewpoints on this, and I'll try to create answers for this in the separate PDF. In the meantime, you can just type in the answers and let us see how creative you are with your analytical and observation skills. So let us move to the next topic now. In the next topic, there is a newspaper report that is given here. A vessel dumped 500 tons of liquid toxic waste into open air dumps in a city and in the surrounding sea. This happened in a city, Abidjan, in Ivory Coast, a country in Africa. The fumes from the highly toxic waste caused nausea, skin rashes, fainting, diarrhea, etc. After a month, 7 persons were dead, 20 in hospital, and 26,000 treated for symptoms of poisoning. A multinational company dealing in petroleum and metals contracted a local company of the Ivory Coast to dispose the toxic waste from its ship. Now, this is a newspaper article from the newspaper Hindu. This article was published in the year 2006. This article was written by Vaiju Naravne. So this is a newspaper report about a place, about a city called Abidjan. This city is in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a country in Africa. So what happened in this country is lots of toxic waste were dumped into uh, the nearby regions of the city, and most of the liquid toxic was dumped into the surrounding sea, and due to which what happened is it seriously impacted the lives of the people. It caused diseases like nausea, skin rashes, fainting, diarrhea, etc. And because of this effect, after a month, 7 people were reported to be dead, 20 people were admitted in the hospital, and 26,000 people showed symptoms of poisoning because of this toxic liquid waste that is dumped into the surrounding areas as well as in the surrounding sea. So all this happened because of a multinational company acting negligently. So what it had done is it had contracted a local company, and then it did not follow this safety protocol, and this local company disposed all the liquid waste wherever it want to be, and it seriously impacted the lives of many people who were living in the surrounding areas. So now here are the questions that you need to answer. Read the question and try to answer them in the comment sections. As I told you, I'll be preparing a separate PDF for answering these questions. So the questions are, who are the people who benefited and who did not? You know who benefited it and who did not. What should be the developmental goal for this country? So it's pretty obvious. So try to write the sentence in the comment section. I will anyhow prepare a PDF file and attach it at the end of this chapter. So now let us move to the next topic, children. The next topic is income and other goals. If you go over to table 1 again, you will notice one common thing. What most people desire are regular work, better wages, and decent price for their crops and other products that they produce. In other words, all they want is more income. So remember, in the previous slides, we have seen that uh, on an average, if we take the overall goals of the common people, everyone thinks more about income, everyone thinks about regular work, more salary, more wages, etc. So besides seeking more income, one way or the other, people also seek things like equal treatment, freedom, security, and respect from others. There isn't discrimination. So if we try to understand, yes, everyone needs money, everyone needs income, everyone needs better salaries, everyone needs better wages. But apart from income, there are also certain things that the people need. What are they? They are like equal treatment. No one would like to be discriminated. Everyone likes to be treated equally. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants security for their job, security for their life, security for their family, and everyone also wants respect. They want to be respected, right? So these are the certain things that people also require apart from income. So all these are important goals. All these are important goals. In fact, in some cases, they might be more important than more income or more consumption, because material goods are not all that you need to live. Sometimes what happens is, yes, money is required, but sometimes people need more of these goals, because these are non-material things, and life is not just about material things. As human beings, we also need non-material things that determine the quality of a life. Quality of life is how happy we are, how content we are with our life. So money can give you the power to buy the things that are essential for living your life. But there are also certain things like freedom, respect, dignity. This you cannot get it with material things. So these are also important apart from income. For example, here if we look at friendship and the role of friends in your life, this is also very important. We cannot live a secluded life. We need people, we need companions, we need friends. So friendship is not a monetary thing. It is not something that can be measured like money, right? So these are certain things that people need apart from income. So let us go to the next topic now. The next topic is, let us take one more example. Like if you get a job in a far off place, you would try to consider many factors apart from income. Like imagine yourself that you got a job at a very different place, and what are the things that would you consider? Would you only think about salary? Obviously yes, you would think about salary, but salary would not be the sole thing that you would be focusing on. Apart from salary, there are also certain things that you will consider when you get a job. Like let us see, this could be facilities for your family. What are the facilities that the company is giving for your family? A working atmosphere, or an opportunity to learn. So these are also the other things that you might look upon when you get a new job. In other case, a job may give you less pay, but may offer regular employment that enhances your sense of security. Now imagine it this way. Imagine that there are two jobs. In one job, they are paying you very less, but they are offering you regular employment in the sense they are giving you job which is throughout the year. It is uh, the job is permanent, and they are giving you job security. Whereas on the other hand, there is another job which is paying you very much more, but there is no job security in it. Like you might get fired anytime, right? So and there are also and also leave no time for your family. There is the job is not providing you enough work life balance. So this will reduce your sense of security and freedom. So when we understand this paragraph, it is very clear that human beings need income, but income could not be the only thing that they want. There are also other factors like freedom, security, work life balance, opportunity to learn and grow. These are also the other factors that are necessary, that are part of development. So for development, people look at mix of goals. So in simple words, what is development? Development is not just about money, not just about income, not about salary, not about wage. when we talk about development, we have a mix of all the goals. Hence, the developmental goals that the people have are not only about better income, but also other important things. So what are the other important things? As we discussed: friendship, freedom, dignity, respect, quality of life, good working atmosphere, ability to learn and grow. So these are all the other important things. These are all the other important goals. So we need all of them and not just money. So that is why we say that development is a mix of goal. So moving on to the next slide is, how do we compare different countries or states? When we compare different things, there could be similarities as well as differences. Which aspects do we use to compare them? Let us look at the students in the class itself. Now, when we make a comparison, generally when we make a comparison, there should be some kind of similarities and there should be some kind of dissimilarities. But which aspects do we use them for comparison? Let us try to understand this by taking an example of students in the class itself. How do we compare different students? We know that different students are having different skill sets. The students differ in their height, the students differ in their health, they differ in their talents and interests. So if we talk about the healthiest student, the healthiest student may not be the studious one. He might not be the studious one, whereas the most intelligent student might not be the friendliest one. Okay, so then how do we compare the students? The criterion we may use depends upon the purpose of comparison. Like for example, we use a different criteria to choose a sports team. Like let's say you want to start a sports team. So what is the criteria that we use? We use students who are very active, who are physically fit, who are mentally fit, who are very flexible with their bodies. So here the criteria changes, right? The criteria changes depending upon the purpose. In the same way, like if we want to choose students for the debate team, what are the qualities that we would look for? We would look for students who are good with oratory skills. We would look for students who are good with communication skills. We would look for students who are good in presentation skills. In the same way, if we want to choose a music theme, what are the qualities that we would look to? We would look for qualities like ability to understand music, ability to recognize different genres of music, etc. And in the same way, if we want to choose a team that would organize a picnic, so what are the skills that we would choose? We would generally choose students who are good at organizing and managing things. So here the criterion changes depending upon the purpose. So the criteria is not same for all of them. Depending upon our need, we try to make a comparison that suits that purpose of comparison, children. So let us move to the next topic now. So let us go to the next topic. The next topic is comparing countries. For comparing countries, their income is considered. Their income is considered to be the most important attributes. Income plays a very important role that defines which country is more developed than the other. So the countries with higher income are considered to be more developed than the countries with lower income. Imagine there are two countries, country A and country B. A country that is having higher income will be considered to be more developed than the country that is having lower income. So this is done based on understanding that more incomes mean more access to things that human beings need to fulfill their basic requirements. Whatever people like and should have, they will be able to get that with greater income. So why do we consider that a country with higher income is considered as more developed than the country with the lower income? It is basing on the normal understanding that if a person is having more income, he will be having more access to a lot of things Okay, so he'll be having access, more access to lot of things. He will be able to fulfill all his basic needs, and he can live a life that he likes, and he will be able to get everything with the greater income. So that means, so this is more and more about the development of individual. So that is the reason why the countries with higher income are considered to be more developed than the countries with lower income. So greater income in itself is considered to be the one important goal. As we have studied in the previous topic, everyone desires for a greater income, because with greater income one can fulfill all his aims, goals, desires, wishes, etc. So that is the reason why greater income is considered to be one of the important goal for every individual. Now, what is income of the country? What is income of the country? Intuitively, the income of the country is the total income of all the residents of the country. This gives us total income of the country. So here we are trying to understand income of the country. What is income of the country? Income of the citizen is the income earned by the a particular citizen or an individual. Whereas income of a country, what is income of the country? Let us imagine it this way. Imagine there is a small country here. There is a small country here. There are five citizens in it: A, citizen B, citizen D, and citizen A. Now the income earned by A, the income earned by B, income earned by C, D, and E gives us the total income of that particular country. Okay, so it is the total income of all the residents. In this example, we have taken a small country where A, B, C, D, and E are the residents. So when we combine their individual incomes, it becomes the income of that country. Okay, so this is what is known as uh, total income of the country, which is very important in making a comparison between different countries. So here, let us talk about why total income is not a useful measure in order to make comparison between or among countries. Total income is basically not considered as a useful measure. The reason being, different countries have different populations. We all know that different countries have different populations. Some countries are hugely populated, some are not. So that is the reason it is very important for us to understand the total income is not a useful measure, because we have countries that are hugely populated. So the countries with huge population will obviously have more income, whereas the countries with less population will have less population. Now, that does not mean that a country with a higher population having a higher total income is more developed than a country with lesser population having a lesser total income. So that is the reason why we do not take the total income into consideration. Rather, we would take average income into consideration. Now, what is this average income? Average income is the total income of the country divided by total population. Now, for instance, let us look at the same table here. You can see there are two countries, country A and country B. First, let us try to understand the concept of average income. Look at country A. If you look at country A, there are five citizens. The total population of the country is five. For our convenience, in order to make the concept clear, we have taken a small figure. Let us assume that there is a country called A. In country A, there are five citizens: citizen 1, citizen 2, citizen 3, citizen 4, and citizen 5. If you look at the incomes, this is the income of citizen 1, 9,500. This is 10,500 for the income of second citizen. 9,800 is the income of the third citizen, and 10,000 is the income of the fourth citizen, and 10,200 is the income of the fifth citizen. So these are individual incomes. So when we combine the income of citizen 1, that is 9,500, plus the income of the second citizen, that is 10,500, plus the income of the third citizen, that is 9,800, plus the income of the fourth citizen, that is 10,000, plus the income of the fifth citizen, that is 20,000, you get the total income of 50,000. You get the total income of 50,000. Now we need to calculate the average income. How do we calculate the average income? Average income is equal to total income of the country. Total income of the country divided by total population. Now here we have calculated the total income. The total income of this country is how much? The total income of this country is 50,000. And what is the total population? What is total population? That is the total citizens in this country are how many? 5. So 50,000 divided by 5 gives us the average income. So that means on an average, every citizen, on an average, I'm talking about average income here. So that is on an average, every citizen here is earning income of 10,000 rupees. So this is how we use average income. So it is not the total income that we use for measuring, it is the average income that we use for measuring the country's children. Now let us talk a little bit about the criterion used by the World Bank. World Bank is an international bank, so it uses a certain criterion for classifying the countries. And what is that criterion? The criterion here is per capita income. Okay, just now we have seen the average income, right? So per capita income is nothing but the average income. That is, on an average, how much does an individual earn in a country? So that is called as per capita income. So the criterion means the only criterion, that means the only thing that the World Bank uses to classify the countries. What is that? It is per capita income. Okay, so very important from MCQ point of view. What is the criterion used by the World Bank to classify countries? You have to remember it is per capita income. So World Bank has given a classification, that is, it divided the countries into two categories, that is high income countries and the other one is low income countries. High income countries are also called as rich countries. High income countries are also called as rich countries. So the countries that are having a per capita income, the countries that are having a per capita income of 12,055 US dollars per annum, that is per year. Okay, if a country is having a per capita income means the average income of an individual in a country is is 12,055 and above. Such countries are classified as high income countries or rich countries. Okay, the second category is those countries which are having a per capita income of US dollar 995 or less. Okay, so that means the average income of individuals of a particular country, if it is 995 US dollars or lesser than that. Okay, so such countries are classified as low income countries. So this is based on this is classified in the year 2017, children. Until less than a decade ago, India came in the category of low income countries. Now it falls under the category of middle income. So until a decade ago means in the if we go back in the past for the 10 years, India was falling under the low income category. But now recently India made a progress and now it is in the middle income country. Then what is a middle income country? Middle income country would be a country which is having a per capita income between 995 US dollars to 12,055 dollars. So that means India progressed from low income country to middle income country. So what is a middle income country? A middle income country is that country where the citizens are having a per capita income of more than US dollars 995 dollars, but not more than 12,055 dollars per annum. Because if the per capita income is more than 12,055 dollars, then it would come under the high income countries. So remember, very important from examination point of view, what is the criterion used by the World Bank to classify the country? The criterion used by the World Bank to classify the countries is per capita income. Per capita income is the average income of the citizens of the country. So let us discuss the next topic. The next topic is about the problems with averages. In the previous slide, we have seen that we take per capita income. Per capita income is the average income to make a comparison between or among the countries. However, when we take the averages for comparison, there are certain problems. What are these problems? The problem is they also hide many disparities. Now, what is this disparity? Let us try to understand this with the help of an example here. Here you can see there are two countries, country A and country B. And let us go with the same example that in these two countries, there are five citizens. For our convenience, we are taking just as five. So the total population of these two countries is five citizens. Let us look at country A. The income of the first country is 9,500. The income of the second citizen is 10,500. The third one earns 9,800, and the fourth citizen's income is 10,000, and the fifth citizen's income is 10,200. So the total income of country A, total income of country A is, let's say, how much is that? 9,500 plus 500, 9,000, 20,000. 20 plus 10 is 30. 30 plus 800 and 200 is 31,000. 31,000 plus 9,000 is 40, and the rest is 10,000, that is 50,000. So the total income of the country A is 50,000. Okay. And whereas the total income of, let us see the total income of country B. So 500 plus 500 is 1000. 1000 plus 5, 15. 15 plus 5 is 2000. This is, sorry, this is 48,000. Okay, 48,000. So so the total income of country B is also 50,000. So here, if we take averages, how do we calculate the average? We calculate the average by, in the previous slide we have seen average income, that is per capita income is equal to total population, total income, total income by total population. Now if you take, if you go along with this formula, that is the income of both the countries is 50,000. So 50,000 divided by total population. So the total population is same as well. So if you see that the average income for both the countries is 10,000 here. So this is a disparity. Why this is a disparity? If you look at country A, if you look at country, on an average, everyone is close to 10,000. Everyone is close to 10,000. 9,500. The average is close to 10,000. 10,500 is close to 10,000. 9,800 is close to 10,000. 10,000 is 10,000 is 10,000 itself. 10,200 is close to 10,000 as well. Now this is okay with country A. The average income is almost all, it is similar to all the citizens. But if you look at country B, the situation is very different. The situation is one citizen is earning 500, the other citizen is earning 500, the third citizen is earning 500, fourth citizen is earning 500, and the rest, the only citizen who is earning more income is 48,000. So this is the discrepancy, this is the disparity. That means whereas of all the citizens, that is four citizens, are earning less income, whereas the fifth citizen is earning the maximum amount of income in the country. So this is the problem that arises with averages. You can understand this by looking at the diagram here. If you look at a country with no rich and no poor, you can identify that These is relating to country A. Why are we classifying this as country A? Because the average income is more or less same. It is almost equal to everyone. If you look at the second one, that is country with rich and poor, you will find that this is coming under country B category. Why this is coming under country B category? This is coming under country B categories because here you can see the poor people are struggling for a chair, and poor people are struggling for the chair. And you can see the rich who can afford the basic who can afford everything is living his life with luxury, right? So that is the reason why we do not go with averages most of the time, because it hides the discrepancy, it hides the disparities. Okay, so here you can see we made the chairs and we use them equally. And here you can see the poor people who made the chairs are actually taken away by the rich people. So this is exactly the situation of country B. All are hard working here, whereas the majority of income is taken by the fifth citizen. So this is the problem that comes up with the averages. Okay, so now let us go to the next topic. So let us go with the next topic, that is income and the other criteria. What are the other criteria apart from income? We have seen that the World Bank uses per capita income as the criteria to classify the country. But apart from income, there are also certain other things that are very important for human beings. In the beginning of the chapter, we have seen that obviously everyone thinks about income, everyone thinks about a better income, but there are other things that individuals also think about. Like they also think about security, that is the other goals apart from income: security, respect, equal treatment, freedom, quality of life. These are the other things that are very important to individuals apart from better income. Similarly, when we think of a nation or a region, there are also other attributes that are necessary for countries apart from the average income. Okay, so average income cannot be the only criteria for measuring the development of a country. There are also other criterias. So let us examine that with the help of an example. So here is a table that makes the comparison of three states. For our convenience, we have taken three states. Number one is Haryana, number two is Himachal Pradesh, and number three is Bihar. As I told you that per capita income or the average income cannot be the sole criteria for measuring the development. Okay, so this you can understand with the help of these tables here. Because if you go with the per capita income, okay, which state of India is having the higher per capita income? If you look at the three states, the higher per capita income is from the state of Haryana, right? So the second highest per capita income is belonging to Himachal Pradesh, okay, and the third state that is having the highest per capita income in the given table is the state of Bihar. Now, if we go by the per capita income, obviously we would consider Haryana to be the most developed country, but we have to understand that it is not just about per capita income. There are also other criterias that we need to take into consideration that are necessary for the development of a particular state. So what are these? These are IMR. IMR stands for infant mortality rate. The second one is literacy rate, and the third one is net attendance ratio. So what is infant mortality rate? Infant mortality rate is out of 1,000 live children born. Out of how many? Out of 1,000 live children born, the number of children who would die within 1 year. That means they die as soon as they take birth, they die within 1 year. Okay, so that is what is called as infant mortality. Infant mortality rate should be lower. Okay, so infant mortality rate is lower. That means there are better health care facilities in that particular country. right? So infant mortality out of 1,000 live births, okay, out of 1,000 live births in the state of Haryana, 33 children are dying within 1 year, whereas Himachal Pradesh, 25 children are dying within 1 year, and 38 children are dying within 1 year of the birth. So if we go by this data, if we go by the IMR, what which state is doing better here? Himachal Pradesh is doing better here. So IMR should be lower. So that means IMR is lower here in the state of Himachal Pradesh, because there are proper healthcare facilities, because the people are educated there, and there are many other healthcare medical facilities, due to which the infant mortality rate is lower in the state of Himachal Pradesh. But if you go just with the per capita income, you would consider Haryana is doing better, right? So per capita income cannot be the only criteria. We have to take other factors. So the first factor that we have taken here is infant mortality rate, and the second factor that we are taking here is literacy rate. What is literacy rate? It measures the percentage of literate population. Literate population means people who can read or write any language, okay, in the age group of 7. Okay, we take age criteria here. Okay, generally it is the children at the age group of 7 and above, who are able to read and write any of the language. Okay, so they are considered as literates. Okay, imagine there is a small child called A, and he is he is having an age of, let's say, 7 years. If he is able to read and write any language, okay, any language, not just, it is not necessary that he needs to understand English language, okay, any language of his choice, or any language that is his mother tongue, or English, or whatever language, if he is able to read and write, then he shall be considered as a literate. Okay, so if we look at the literacy rate, now here the literacy rate should be higher or lower? Literacy rate should be higher. Now if you look at Haryana, Haryana is having a literacy rate of 77 percentage, and Himachal Pradesh is again scoring better here. Okay, here again it is Himachal Pradesh that is scoring better, 84, better than Haryana, whereas Bihar, the literacy rate is just 64%. So here Himachal Pradesh has done better in the literacy rate as well. Moving to the third criteria here, the third criteria here is net attendance ratio. So net attendance ratio is basically for the secondary stage of schooling, which is basically taken by ninth class and 10th class students. Okay, so what is the net attendance ratio? It is 61. Okay, 61 percentage, 67 percentage, and 43%. 61 percentage for Haryana, 67 percentage for Himachal Pradesh, and 43% for Bihar. So here again you can see the net attendance ratio is higher. That means it is better than Haryana and Bihar. So if we go just by the per capita income, we would come to the conclusion that Haryana is doing better, because the per capita income of Haryana is better than Himachal Pradesh and Bihar. But we have to understand that it is not just the per capita income. We need to take into account the other factors like IMR, that is infant mortality rate, literacy rate, and the net attendance ratio. So if we compare, if we take the additional factors like IMR, literacy rate, and net attendance ratio, you can clearly see that it is Himachal Pradesh that is outstanding the other two states' children. Okay, let us now talk a little bit about public facilities. What are public facilities? Let us try to understand them. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services you need to live well. For example, your money in your pocket cannot buy you a pollution free environment, or ensure that you get unadulterated medicines, etc., unless the whole community takes some preventive steps. Now, income cannot be the only criterion for development, we have already seen, right? In the same way, a person who is rich, who has lot of money, It is not possible for him to get a pollution free environment just because he is rich. In the same way, it is not necessary that he gets the real medicines. It is not necessary that he gets all the best things in life just because he is rich, right? Though he might be rich, do you think he will be able to get pure air for breathing? No. So it is very important that the whole community comes together, okay, and takes some preventive steps. Okay, so it would be wrong to think that a person who is rich can get all the best things in life. Though a person is rich, it is not necessary that he gets pure air to breathe. It is not necessary that he gets pure water to drink. It is not necessary that he gets the real medicines, right? So it is very important that whole community, whole society, group of people come together and take some preventive steps, no matter if a person is rich or poor. Actually, for many important things in life, the best way, also the cheapest way, is to provide these goods and services collectively. Okay, so for important things, there are few things that are very important in our life. Okay, and they are also cheap, and we can get it in a cheapest way when we get them collectively. Now, just think, will it be cheaper for you to have a collective security for the whole locality, or for each house to have its own security? Now imagine that you are living in one community, and for your protection, you need to have a security guard. Okay, and it would charge you more, right? Because specially you're appointing him for your own safety. But on the other hand, if you have a security guard who is working collectively for all the community, would that be cheaper? Or appointing a security guard specially for your home would be cheaper? Obviously, it is hiring a security guard who would work for the whole community would be cheaper. Okay, so what if no one other than you in your village or locality is interested in studying? Would you be able to study? Now, in your village, imagine it this way: if no one is able to, is no one, if no one is interested in studying, no one is interested in studying, would you be able to study? Obviously not. It is just because the people in your community are interested in studying, you are able to get that facility. If no one is interested, why would someone set up a school in that particular locality for just for your sake, right? So not unless your parents could afford to send you to some private school elsewhere, you will not be able to get the schooling. It is the other thing, maybe your parents are rich, and imagine that no one in your locality is interested to study, and your parents are very rich, they are affluent, so that is the reason they are able to send you to the other schools. But what about those people who cannot afford, and no one in that particular area is willing to go to school? Will that student be able to get the schooling? Obviously not. Okay, so some states have lower infant mortality rate. We just spoke about infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate is out of 1,000 live births, how many children die within 1 year? Okay, so that is called as infant mortality rate. Some states in India are able to have lesser infant mortality rate because they have basic health care and educational facilities. That is why their infant mortality rate is lower. Similarly, in some states, the public distribution system. What is this public distribution system? It is a ration shop that provides basic food grains to the people at affordable prices, right? So the poor people who cannot afford food grains, they go to the ration shops and they pay a very minimal amount, and the ration shops provide the basic essential food grains like rice, wheat, oil, food items at cheaper cost. So such kind of distribution system is called as public distribution system. Okay, so public facilities in general, what are these public facilities? Public facilities are basically, you can say that these are actually the facilities provided by government. Facilities provided by, provided by whom? Provided by government. Provided by government. Provided by government collectively to the people. Collectively to the people are called as public facilities. Okay, so that they can live their life conveniently without any problem. Some examples of public facilities, like let's say water, uh, next let's say uh, healthcare facility, healthcare facility, healthcare facilities, education facilities, okay, roads and transportation, roads and transportation for the convenience of people, etc. Okay, so these are the facilities that are provided by the government for the benefit of the common people. Okay, let us now talk a little bit about Human Development Report. What is this Human Development Report? This is a report that is published by UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Okay, so this is an agency. This is an international agency of United Nations. Okay, United Nations, which came into existence after with the objective of promoting peace and development. Okay, so UNDP happens to be one of the agencies of the United Nations. So the Human Development Program prepares a development report by taking into account certain factors. Okay, so basing on these certain factors, it categorizes the countries. Okay, so what are these categories that are used by the UNDP for measuring the development of the countries? Number one is the education, that is literacy, literacy of the countries, and their health status and the per capita income. Okay, so per capita income is already used by World Bank for measuring the development of the country, but UN, which is United Nations, through its agency, that is United Nations Development Program, prepares a human development report in order to assess the development of countries. So when it prepares the list, it takes into factor certain accounts. It takes into account certain factors. What are they? Number one is education, that is literacy. Number two is health status, and number three, that is per capita income. Let us now go through some of the data that is given in the textbook. Here are some of the countries, like Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and Nepal. These are all the neighboring countries of India. So certain factors are taken here into consideration. Number one is per capita. So the only criteria that is taken by World Bank to classify the countries, that is per capita income. So along with per capita income, we have certain factors like life expectancy at birth, and number uh, three is mean years of schooling. So basing on these three factors, you can see the countries are ranked. Okay, so there are other factors also, but for our convenience, we have taken three factors here. Okay, so number one is per capita income. So this is basically calculated in US dollars for all the country, because we need to have one standard unit of measurement. So that is why we have taken US dollar. Okay, so uh, the development report uh, consists of per capita income. So uh, the unit of measurement would be US dollars. Okay, so if we look at per capita income, the country that is having the highest per capita income, okay, so is Sri Lanka. After Sri Lanka, the second highest per capita income is belonging to India. Okay, so number one in terms of per capita income is Sri Lanka, and number two is uh, India. The second factor that is taken into consideration for the Human Development Index is life expectancy. What is life expectancy? Life expectancy is basically the average expected length of a life of a person at the time of birth. On an average, we just make an expectation that a person would live, let's say 75, 80. So that is called as life expectancy. So if we look into the life expectancy, again the rank 1 is with Sri Lanka, and rank 2 is with Bangladesh, rank 3 is with Nepal, and rank 4 is India. Okay, so the life expectancy of people, that means on an average in India, a person is expected to live for 68.8. So on an average, you can consider it as 69 years. The third parameter that is taken here is mean years of schooling. What is mean years of schooling? The average number of completed years of education of country's population aged 25 years and older. 25 years and older, excluding years spent, excluding, so that means we are not taking data of the number of repetitions that is done by an individual. Let's say for example, if a student fails, so he takes additional year for the completion of the course, so that is not taken here, that is excluded. So mean years of schooling is the average number of completed years of education. Okay, so how many years on an average an individual spends throughout his life, in completing his schooling. So here you can see again Sri Lanka, the average school, that means on an average an individual spends about 11 years on his schooling, and the second highest goes with India and Bangladesh. Okay, so basing on the certain factors, India is ranked with 129th position. Okay, and the neighboring country Sri Lanka stands at 76th position. So basically the ranking is done for 189 countries altogether. Okay, so this is the data of India along with its neighboring countries in the year 2018. Okay, so based on these factors, the countries are ranked, and the position that India secured among all the 189 countries is 129. Okay, so now let us go to the next slide. So the next topic that we need to discuss is development as progress over time. Some countries are ahead of others in terms of human development indicators. Similarly, certain states are having better indicators of human development. Though within a state there may be variation, some districts may be more advanced than others. Remember that comparison and ranks have little use by them. They are only useful if these indicators can make us think in meaningful ways as to why are some behind the others. So here we see that the data that is used here is not only useful for comparing the countries, but it is also useful for measuring the development of the states. Some states are better than others, and whereas some districts are more advanced than others. When we make a comparison, the ranks have little useful. The only thing that these data helps us, it makes us understand what are the reasons as to why a particular state is ahead than the others. Like in the case of Himachal Pradesh, you have seen that in the previous slide that Himachal Pradesh per capita income is lesser than Haryana, but still it is ranking better in terms of human development because it takes into account other development indicators also. Okay, so we need to take those other indicators also. So the reason why Himachal Pradesh is doing good here is because of the schooling revolution, which we will be covering up in the next slide. So now let us talk a little bit about a revolution, that is schooling revolution in the state of Himachal Pradesh. At the time of Indian independence, like most of the other states in India, Himachal Pradesh had very low levels of education. So at the time of independence, our literacy rate was very low. Not only Himachal Pradesh, almost all the states in India were having very less percentage of literacy rate. But over the time, Himachal Pradesh has progressed. Okay, so though being a hilly region with low density of population, so it is expected that in a hilly region, the people living, the density of population is very low. The spread of schools, particularly to the rural areas, appears to be a big challenge. Now imagine a state like Himachal Pradesh, which is hilly. The population is very low in those hilly regions, and the spread of schools providing education to those people with that lesser population, it happened a very big challenge. It happened like a big challenge for the state of Himachal Pradesh, but they have overcome this challenge. Both the government of Himachal Pradesh and the people of the state were keen on access to better education. Most of the times we just go on blaming the government, saying that the government, it is the duty of the government. But here in the case of Himachal Pradesh, the schooling revolution happened because of coordination, or let's say collaboration, between the government and the people of Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so the people of Himachal Pradesh were so keen on having better education, and the government was also having a vision of providing better education. So these helped them in bringing a schooling revolution in Himachal Pradesh. The government started schools. So the government came up with a lot of schools in the state of Himachal Pradesh, and it ensured that education was largely free of cost, or very or cost very little for the parents. Now here, this is a very important thing, like the government needs to open up schools, especially for those people who cannot afford education. And this is what happened in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Uh, the parents were eager to send their children to the school, and the government was also doing its best. The government has a vision. The government wanted to improve the education. It wanted to improve the education, wanted to improve the literacy rate. So it started opening up schools. Okay, further, it tried to ensure that these schools had at least the minimum facilities like teachers, classrooms, toilets, drinking water, etc. Sometimes, what happens is the government just opens the schools, and the rest is like just it's open. It does not think about the development. It does not think about progressing them or developing them. It does not think about providing them minimum facilities. But in the state of Himachal Pradesh, the objective of the government was not just to open the schools. It had also provided basic facilities, minimum facilities, like it started providing better infrastructure, better classrooms, better drinking water facilities, better infrastructure, hiring of qualified teachers. All these efforts went, and there happened a revolution in the educational field in the Himachal Pradesh. And as a result, as the years went by, facilities were improved and expanded. This is very important thing. What happens is most of the state governments, they just open up the schools, and there is no upgradation, there is no improvement. They just opened it for the sake of improvement. They just opened it for the sake of objective, but they don't try to expand them, or they don't try to improve them. But this was not happening in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh government had a very big vision. It not just opened the schools, it also planned for improving and expanding these schools. Okay, so more schools were opened and more teachers were appointed. The government did not hesitate in hiring more teachers. It did not hesitate in constructing more and more schools, and so that it could benefit the children in that hilly state. Of course, to open and run the schools, the government had to spend money. Among the Indian states, Himachal Pradesh has the highest spending on education. So in order to run a school, the government has to spend a lot of money. Okay, so among the Indian states, the state which is spending more on education, okay, the budget of the government is spent more on education. Himachal Pradesh spends most of its budget in improving education facilities. In the year 2005, this is the data relating to 2005, the average spending on education by the government states was 1049 per child. On the other hand, Himachal Pradesh was spending rupees 2005 per child. That is almost double than what the other state governments were spending. So if we go through this slide, it is very clear that the government wants to improve the education, it wants to improve the literacy, and also there was cooperation from the people of Himachal Pradesh. So this led to the schooling revolution in the state of Himachal Pradesh. Not only the efforts of the government, but the norms, the standards of Himachal Pradesh were higher. The norm in Himachal Pradesh has come to at least 10 years of schooling. So the people of Himachal Pradesh believe that they need to continue their education at least for 10 years. In many parts of the country, girls' education is still given less priority by the parents as compared to boys' education. If we talk about other states in India, we see that most of the states in India, the priority for boys' education is more as compared to the girls' education. While girls may study for a few years, they may not complete their schooling. They might send their girl child to the school, but it happens very rare that they complete their entire schooling. But in the Himachal Pradesh, a welcome trend is seen, that is lower gender bias. Himachali parents have ambitious educational goals for their girls just as for their boys. So very big achievement for the state of Himachal Pradesh, that the people of Himachal Pradesh, they do not have any bias, like they don't believe that only boys should be sent to the schools and girls are supposed to take care of the family chores and all that. So a welcome trend is seen in Himachal Pradesh, due to which there is a lower gender bias. Himachal Pradesh parents do not discriminate their children. Okay, so they have the similar kind of goals for their boys and girls. They do not differentiate between their boys and girls when it comes to their educational goals. Thus, in the age group of 13 and 18, a very high percentage of girls are completing class 8 and moving to secondary classes. Most of the times we see that girls very rarely join the school. Even if they join, they will not be able to complete their school. They will not be able to complete their schooling. But in the case of Himachal Pradesh, a very high percentage of girls are completing their standard 8 and they are moving to the secondary classes. This doesn't mean that there are no differences in the status of men and women, but the differences are less as compared to many other regions. Now, this does not mean that there is no discrimination, there is no gender bias at all in the state of Himachal Pradesh. There is a little bit of existence of gender bias, but when we compare the gender bias of Himachal Pradesh with that of the other states, it is comparatively lesser. So let us talk a little bit of lower gender bias in the state of Himachal Pradesh. One may wonder why the gender bias is less in Himachal Pradesh as compared to other states. Just now we have discussed that there is a lesser gender bias in the state of Himachal Pradesh. What could be the reasons why there is lesser gender bias in Himachal Pradesh? Besides education, this can also be seen in other areas as well. So gender bias is not just seen in education, it is also seen in other factors as well. Like let us talk about child mortality. Children dying within few years of birth in Himachal Pradesh is lower for girls than for boys, in contrast for most of the states. You can see that in the state of Himachal Pradesh, the child mortality is lesser for girls. Okay, but in other states, the child mortality is more for girls because um, in other states people prefer boys than girls, so that is why the child mortality is more for girls, but whereas in the state of Himachal Pradesh, the child mortality for girls is lesser than boys. One major consideration is that Himachali women are themselves employed outside the home. So another important thing, another, or let's say another important factor that led to lower gender biases, most of the Himachali women are educated. Okay, so an educated mother plays a vital role. uh, she educates the children, she educates a family. Okay, so a Himachali woman, when she is employed, when she is educated, when she is working outside, she also gives the same kind of opportunity to her daughters. Okay, so that is one major consideration here. Women who work outside the homes are economically independent. Women who work, they are economically independent. They need not be dependent on the income of their father. They need not be dependent on the income of their parents. So since they are earning, they are self confident. They can they go out, they become independent, and this makes them have a greater say in the household decisions. Since they go out and earn a livelihood, they also play a very important role. They also play a major role in the household decisions, especially in the matters relating to children education, in the matters relating to health, in the matters relating to birth, upkeep, etc. So here, since women are going out and working, since most of the Himachali women are educated, they are also the bread earners, they are self confident, they are independent, they have a major decision making powers in matters relating to education, health, and any other matter relating to a house. Also, being employed themselves, Himachal mothers expect their daughters to work outside home after marriage. Schooling therefore becomes naturally and has become a social norm. So Himachali women, they also expect that their daughters continue to work even after the marriage. It is not that it is not like they want only their sons to get educated and work. They also want their daughters to be equally independent. They encourage their daughters to continue working even after the marriage. So these are all the possible reasons why education becomes a social norm in the state of Himachal Pradesh. So finally, let us sum up the chapter. Summing up the important points of the chapter, development entails a mix of goals, as we have discussed that development, when we talk about development, income cannot be the only criterion for measuring the development. Apart from income, there are also other factors that are necessary for the development of individuals. So that is why we can say that development entails a mix of goals. Goals and the ways of attaining them may be in conflict, as we have seen the case study where the development for one category of people might act as a conflict, might not be a development for the other. So there might be a conflicting interest, the goals might be of conflicting interest. Whose development is an important question one must address while talking about development. So this is the important thing. When we talk about development, we need to understand whose development we are talking about. Okay, so is it development for a particular category of people, or is it for the whole community, or is it for the whole country? This is the important question that we need to address when we talk about development. Income and per capita income, though very often used, is only one aspect of development. As I told you, income could be the is just one criteria, but apart from income, there are also other factors that we need to understand, because distribution of incomes can be very unequal even when overall income of the country rises. We have taken that case study of country A and country B, right? We cannot just judge a country as development basing on the total income, because the income might not be equally distributed, right? So remember that diagram where on four chairs one person is sitting, and so that cannot be the criteria. Okay, Human Development Index has tried to expand the notion of development to include all social indicators. So apart from monetary indicators, which includes the per capita income or the average income, it also includes the social indicators. What are social indicators here? The social indicators include healthcare and education. So if there is proper healthcare, the people of that particular people of that particular state or country will be healthy. If they are educated, they have more chances of getting job opportunities, they have more chances of establishing businesses, they have more chances of giving employment to the people. So these are all the ways through which a development can be expected. Okay, so Human Development Index has tried to expand the notion of development by going beyond the economic indicators and including social indicators. What are social indicators here? Health, education, etc. And government provision is the only way of improving health and education status. So here it is the role of the government that has to bring in lot of provisions in order to improve the health of the people of the country, and in order to improve the literacy rate. Okay, so this is the summary of the chapter, children. I hope the chapter was clear to everyone, and that's the end of the chapter. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming up with more videos. Thank you, everyone, for watching.